Okay, thank you so much everyone for joining us for the Art2Finish presentation. Today we're going to be focusing on the VRCut software that comes with the Triumph paper cutters. We're actually really going to be looking at the MBM Triumph paper cutter workflow and finishing process from what we call from Art2Finish. Everything that the efficiency driving capabilities and workflow that's established by MBM Corporation's technology in conjunction with LytrodLive Software, that's my company, to create a more efficient and more accessible workflow. We want to really open up the abilities of more people to do more cutting in less amounts of time. That's kind of that overarching idea and theme is really what we're all driving. Have less experience to be able to have less waste in terms of risk of making mistakes, and also be able to do more in less amounts of time. MBM Corporation has decided a couple of years ago to provide, with the purchase of a number of their VRCut Ready models, our software at no additional charge. There is no add-ons to this. You cannot pay more money to get any more features or technology above and beyond what comes at the base price of these machines. That software is called VRCut, and it comes with what we call the Triumph VRCut Ready cutter line. That's the Triumph MBM 5260, the Triumph 5560, the Triumph 6660, and the Triumph 7260. Those are all considered their light beam. We'll go into that a little bit in the live presentation, but essentially any of these models, if you purchase with the purchase price. The VRCut software is a fully capable, full-fledged imposition and variable data tool. It comes with one license of that, which is $1,800, plus 1 year of annual licensing, which is $600. So it's $2,400 worth of software at the base price of these machines. No other cutters in the market at this level come with software of any kind. So this not only includes a controller system, which most cutters don't have the ability to even have, a computer-based controller system, but also uncovers a fully fledged imposition and variable data tool developed by LytrodLive Software, and that's what we're going to be looking at in the first half of this call. So $2,400 worth of software with the purchase of these machines. That annual licensing is required, but it does come with 1 year at the purchase. So whenever you install the software, not when you buy it, but when you actually are ready to implement the solution and install it, then you get 1 year from that point for free at no additional charge. So 1 year of usage of the software, no matter what, and whether you use that for the Triumphs or not, you at least get a full license of variable data and imposition software when you purchase these machines. I've gone through this a little bit, but essentially, our VRCut software is a two-part system. We have the imposition tool, which we call VRCut Impose, I just talked a little bit about. But we also have on the right side of the screen here, this brand new case will allow a USB connection of our software into the bottom of the machines. You put a laptop or a desktop monitor on top of the hood. That's what most people do. Some people I've seen got very creative. They built stands, monitor stands, or they have a table next to the machine. But as long as you have a screen monitor that's visible to an individual operator of the machine, that's all you need. And it connects to the bottom of the cutter through USB cable. So that is the controller-based system. For the imposition side, we provide everything you need to be able to create any template you want right on that controller system. In addition to that, EFI Fiery Impose software also has a number of VRCut supported templates and barcodes inside of its template library. So if your customers or you yourself are a user of a Triumph cutter, if you're very set with Fiery, then you have a number of templates that are supported. But if you want to create your own templates and have a much wider array of templates that you can use, then we provide imposition software for you. So that's the main reason why we're providing this imposition tool. We want you to be able to create any type of template you want on the fly within seconds, print it out using our imposition PDF creation tool, and then cut it over on the cutter. It's all barcode driven. Everything is automated with the solution. So you can add a very inexpensive barcode scanner, usually about $5 from Amazon. You plug it into your PC. and now you just scan a barcode that is automatically applied in the imposition process to the cutter. The idea is that all the complicated stuff is done in pre-press by the graphic designer who's already doing that complicated stuff. From there, our technology takes out the thought process from everything after that point. So an operator of the machine does not have to be experienced, does not have to know anything about cutters whatsoever. They scan a barcode, and as we'll see in a second here, the controller system, that computer on top of the cutter, scans the barcode, now calculates every single step in the cutting process. It automatically moves the back gauge through that cut sequence as they make cuts, and more importantly, it shows the operator how to feed in the paper, how to rotate the paper, when to set stacks aside. It is a guidance system. It reduces the amount of time for any operator, whether you're experienced or not a novice, but it makes it so that you know exactly what to do based on the specific job at hand, all on the fly. Today we're going to be creating a couple of jobs, and I also really want to highlight today on our variable data capabilities. Variable data software is expensive and complex, and it's completely included within the imposition tool. We actually, at our core, LytrodLive Software for 30 years has been a variable data company and an imposition software. All of that core technology is within the VRCut Impose software that comes with it. There's a number of different ways to do variable data. We're going to do today one of the more common ways, which is just traditional mail merge of a data file. We have other sessions at LytrodLive.com that deep dive into variable data. If you want to check those out, you can at any time. Just watch a quick recording of a previous session we did. But create an address and also create an intelligent mail barcode. Addressing is a huge thing with these types of cutters, obviously. And of course, when you're doing addressing, what's the next question you get? Postal sorting. So we allow you to set your stack size, and then we order down the stack based on the stacks that are going to be created and based on the number of records. So we really just allow you to simply tell us how many cars are you cutting at a time. We'll automatically retain the order of your data. And you have your data ordered, retained as based on the order of what your data file was. So if your customers are doing high volume data sorting and cleansing for postal discounting, this is the software for them. We take that data, we take the intelligent mail barcode information that's provided by that sorting software that they're already using, and we create the appropriate barcode. We do all the addressing, merging for them, and now they have a very easy to use finishing process that retains the order of their data. The second job we're going to do today is we're going to create a custom template. We're very excited about custom templates. It is a newer feature to the software. Before, customers only had 200 templates they could choose from. Now they have all those 200 out of the box, plus unlimited amount they can create their own. That's one of the reasons for that licensing cost. We are ongoing and continually developing the software with new features for about 4 times a year. We do a spring, summer, fall, and winter release. This was just released in our summer release, custom templates. Essentially allows anyone at any place to create a new template, save it to the cutter, create the PDF, scan the barcode, and they're done. We'll go through that whole process in about 3 minutes, creating a new custom template. All right, I'm going to close out my presentation. If you're having technical difficulties of any kind, you can't see my screen, now is most important time to see my screen. So do chat with our moderators in the chat box. In a second here, you should be seeing the software. It's a black background with a welcome menu in the middle, white welcome menu. If you're not seeing that, please chat with us and let us know, and we'll try to point you in the right direction. This is VRCut Impose. Again, comes with the purchase of these cutters. It's a fully fledged imposition and variable data tool. You get 1 seat with the purchase installed on any computer in the office. Generally, this is installed on pre-press or graphic designer's computer that's already doing imposition. Nice part about this software is that you don't have to get out of your desk. Fiery Impose, you have to go over usually to the Fiery system and do your pre-press there. And if you have any mistakes with the artwork, go back to your computer. And this just lets the graphic designer do imposition and create a print file right at their desk. All they're doing now, creating the PDF print file and dropping it over to the print queue. So whether that's the Fiery controller, print queue, or whatever they do to send it to the print driver. But that's what we are. This essentially is a PDF creation tool by bringing in artwork. I'm going to select new job. As I was saying before, you have about 200 templates that are what we call preset. These are templates that are already in the software's library day one, and they're based on commonly used cut sizes on all US common paper sizes. So if you go to the paper size, you can filter by that. Today, we're going to be printing on 12 by 18 paper for this specific job. The second job will be on 13 by 19. But we're going to filter by 12 by 18. And then, of course, I have my presets, and then I have any custom templates I created below those. So when you are creating a new template, it's just like a preset. It's just the second time you create it, it's in your library. You select it, you bring in your artwork, you create PDF. Three easy steps. And you're going to preview what's going to look like, whether that's a preset or whether that's a custom template. So you can see whether it has bleed on, that's that pink area. You can see how many up it is, what it's going to look like, where the barcode placement and alignment placement are, all sorts of stuff to get a sense for what that's going to look like once you bring your artwork in. So this is another new feature. I really like it, especially when you're creating a custom template. It's really cool to be able to see on the fly what your template's going to look like as you enter in paper size and cut size. All right. I'm going to now select a 5 by 7 postcard. And let's see here. There it is on the list, 12 by 18, 5 by 7 postcard. I'll try to speak a little slower. Sorry, guys, I just sometimes get going on this, but I'll try to slow it down. So 5 by 7 postcard, and we're going to be doing duplex. So we're going to say next. Now all we have to do at this point is indicate whether we have bleed on or off. I'm going to say bleed is on. And then you can change the orientation of your artwork. This is not going to change the way it cuts or anything like that. It's just going to make it easier to import your artwork based on how your artwork is already oriented, so you don't have to rotate it later. In this case, it is landscape. I'm going to leave it at that. But if I change the portrait, you'll see that it would just make it so that I'm bringing in my artwork in portrait, and also rotates the paper size as well. In our imposition tool, we work in a one-up view. So because this is duplex, I have a front side tab for the front side one-up, and I have a back side tab for the back side one-up. I can always go to preview imposition right here, and I can see what it's going to look like when it's imposed, but I don't have artwork in it yet. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring in that artwork first. I'm going to go import image. Now, you can bring in any format of artwork, generally any format. We accept, I think, 6 or 7 different types. Most of the time, though, for printing, we use PDF format. So you're bringing in a PDF to create another PDF. But you can use JPEG, PNG, TIFF, GIF, various types of image formats. We're going to bring in a postcard, front side and back side. Now, this is a 2-page PDF because we're bringing in a front page for the first page for the front and second page for the back. If they're 2 different images, you can always just go to front side tab, import image of the front, go to the backside tab, and then import image of the back. But this is asking me, because it's the 2 pages, do I want to bring in both? And I'm going to say yes. Okay, perfect. So now when I go to preview and position, you'll see I have my 4 up. I've got my barcode already placed. I haven't created my PDF yet. This is just a preview in the software of what it's going to look like. I do want to point out, this is another proprietary technology that we actually have copyrighted and trademarked ourselves. Is we have now these auto-place number indicators in the margins. This is another assurance capability to essentially ensure that the operator who's cutting these cards can line up and look at the screen, which will also have the corresponding number for the step they're on, and match that to where they're cutting. Now, again, the screen itself visually shows what the orientation is and when to rotate it, but this is just an additional assurance to that the operator is making the right cut at the right time. That was a huge ask from MBN Corporation. A lot of times, as we all know, profit margins on these jobs are razor thin, and one miscut can completely negate the entire profit of the project. So not only did we want to make this more accessible to people, make jobs be cut faster, but we also wanted to reduce or completely eliminate the error, the risk of errors. we don't want to have customers doing recuts. So this is just an additional feature that an operator can use to make sure that it's lined up and they're making the right cut at the right time. The last thing I'm going to do now is, for this specific job, we're not going to do this on the second one, but for this specific job, I'm going to bring in a data file. So this is just a traditional standard CSV Excel file with address information in it, and also has barcode information in it. Again, when you bring in a data file, all your data fields are populated on the right side of the screen, and it shows you the first record of that data. Now from here, it's really just as easy as highlighting a field and dragging and dropping over to the page. That's to do an individual field. I am going to make this bigger. We're going to put numbers on this so that when we print it out, you guys can follow along the ordering. But on the back side, I'm also going to put that number of fields, and then we're going to do a address block. So if you want to do an individual field, you drag and drop the field over. But if you want to do a group of fields together, as we would do normally for addressing, just going to draw a text box, and then I'm going to put multiple fields inside it together. This is a very high level overview. When you purchase the software, you get one-on-one trading, as well as a consultant that will work with you for sending you the right training videos, doing webinars, live one-on-one webinars, things like that. We have a number of training videos on this, so let me know if you have any questions about variable data or anything that we talked about today, and either I'll be happy myself or one of my colleagues to hop on the phone with you, or I'll send you some recordings that we have for you to reference. So I'm going to do city, state, and zip. I could put static information in between these, a comma or line breaks or anything else. It all formats based on how I have it inside of this text box. When I click away, you'll see our variable name convention changes to the first record. And this is going to obviously replicate down the line, extrapolate the data, and do the data merging when we create the PDF pages for printing. The last thing we're going to do is insert a barcode. We're going to create a two-dimensional intelligent mail barcode, but the software also supports a number of one-dimensional and other two-dimensional barcodes. Popular ones are data matrix codes and QR codes. Probably the most popular one is intelligent mail barcode and QR codes. This will do the entire, as long as we have the 65-character code of for the intelligent mail barcode in there, it automatically will apply that and create the barcode. I see a question in the chat about longest line check. I'm believing that's talking about data that could extend past the edge of the cut area. That is definitely is a capability in the software. I'm not going to go into it. It's a little more complicated, but essentially what you do is you draw a text box area, and then any text within that will shrink based on the font size. It will automatically shrink to where you want that font to, that data to fit into if the one of the records extends past that area. So essentially I would just draw a box from like here to here, and then I would attach the data to it. And if I had a name that was 50 characters long, it would only shrink just that specific data field to fit within that text box that I'd applied. So yes, that's a capability within the software. I'm going to move this intelligent mail barcode, just place it wherever I want. And I didn't mention this too much, but this variable, even though it's variable information, completely formattable. I can change the font if I like to anything on my PC. I can change the font size. I can change the color, anything I'd like to be within the aesthetics of the artwork and the piece that I'm creating. Okay, that is all we're going to do for now. We have our front side and our back side with variable information on it. We're going to create our PDF. Oh, sorry, one last thing. I do want to set the stack size for this. We are going to be cutting in stacks, just for example purposes. We're going to be cutting in stacks of 5. So I'm going to go to multiple up settings. I'm going to do stack ordering. And again, I'm doing this very quickly. We have other videos that deep dive on this. I just wanted to make you all aware of the capabilities. Stack size of 5 and create PDF. And now what you'll see this does is I want to show you on the print file before I send it over to the printer here, is even though this is duplex, I have stack 1 on page 1. It's going to do record 1, 6, 11, and 16. And on the back the same. You see 1, 6, 11, and 16. And essentially now we have going to print out pages. We're going to cut stacks of 5, and we're going to have 5 records on each stack, so that at the end I'm going to have 1 through 5 placed on top of 6 through 10, and so on and so forth till I have all 20 records in order. So this just very quickly allows a user to say, I'm cutting stacks of 50, and now I'm going to, you're going to take your stacks of 50 and you're going to have your records 1 to 200 in order when you complete the cutting process. Super simple, pretty much, I'm sure, very similar to what any graphic designer would be used to if they've done variable data before, maybe a little easier from what I've heard. I'm going to send this over to the printer. We're going to print these 5 pages, duplex. You could just send this to your Fiery print queue. I just send it directly through Adobe Acrobat. We're going to print. Perfect. Okay, those are going to be ready for our demo in a second here. Very quickly, I want to create one more job, which is a custom template. Now remember that this is a template that is not already in our preset library. This is a brand new size that's never been cut on the cutter before, and what we want to accomplish is to create this template for creating a PDF and simultaneously program the computer that's attached to the cutter to know what to do to calculate the cut sequences when it scans the barcode. So what we're going to do is we're going to do custom template. When I create a custom template, it adds it to the bottom of my list for the next time. But for the first time you go custom template, you press next. We're going to name our project. This name will be text searchable. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but you can always keyword search in your template list. So I like to name this based on the specifications of the project. In this case, it's a 13 by 19 page, and it's 3.75 by 8.5 cut size with bleed. That means that when I search for this next time, or when I have another customer who wants this same specific cut size, I'll search for that and I'll see that it already exists in my library. I don't have to go through creating it again. In this case, it's a simplex job. I'm going to do 13 by 19 paper. And let me bring over my preview window because this is where it's really cool. I'm going to say cut size of 3.75 by 8.5. As you see that as I'm making changes, it's showing me what that's going to look like. How many are going to fit on the page? How much paper waste is there? If I change the layout, if I change to landscape, I see that instead of 6 up, I only get 4 up. So very, very quickly, all this stuff that's previously manually calculated by graphic designers to figure out what's the most optimal way to utilize my paper real estate, you just use the software. What if I did 12 by 18 paper? I'm on, how many up am I going to get then? Is it going to overlap the barcode as it's indicating to me now? So based on all that stuff, you figure out, okay, 13 by 19, landscape or portrait and portrait, best, most optimal layout combination. All right, I've now saved this for the imposition software. So next time I want to create this, it's in my imposition library. It's asking me if I want to create the job, which I do. Now, before I create my PDF, let me add my artwork real fast. It doesn't matter what order I do this in, but I'm going to add my artwork. And what I want to do now is I want to program the cutter. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can be in essentially all that has to happen is a file that we create in this imposition tool needs to be shared with the controller computer. So the most common way that's done is through local area network shared folders. This software, if you go to the options tab, has an ability to indicate a specific folder on the network, any one you want, as your VRC file folder. And then the controller computer also has the ability to select any folder on the network and select that as the folder that it's looking for these files in. So as long as both places are pointing to the same network folder, then this process is very easy. You go to Paper Cuts menu. We give you all the cut settings here, but then you just simply say save the VRC, press save, and you're done. Now the barcode will scan and work. What if the graphic designer is not in the office? Works from home, especially now? Then what we've done, in fact, what I do almost always is we have it shared to a cloud-based system. In our case, we use Dropbox cloud folders, but any cloud-based system will work as long as both computers have access to those folders through their Microsoft Windows then it works perfectly fine. So what happens is graphic designers are working from home. They're creating custom templates. They're emailing the print files to their office, and the operators are doing the exact same thing. They're printing it out and they're scanning the barcode, and it already works. Even though this was created remotely, custom templates will automatically populate on the cutter. So we've saved the VRC file. We're done. All we need to do now is create our PDF, send it to the printer. Here we go. You see it automatically has that barcode on top. Even though it's custom, it creates a custom barcode. And that's it. So we're going to pick this up from the printer. Apologize if I spoke too fast. If anything wasn't clear, please do let us know if you have any questions in the chat box. Or, of course, I'm always happy to answer questions on the phone or email. Just email us at sales@lytrod.com with any questions whatsoever, and we'll have somebody assist you. If you go to www.LytrodLive, LytrodLive.com, all the recordings of every LytRod Live session we have done are there, and most of those have a specific topic that we deep dive. So if you want more information on variable, there's one for that. If you want on ordering, there's one for that. Custom templates in more detail, there's one for that. Things like that. Robert's asking, does the cut operator still have to rotate the stacks? Yes, and that is all directly indicated for them on the screen. In fact, Robert, that specific question will be perfectly answered in the live video that we're going to cut to right now. You'll see how the screen attached to the cutter shows the operator exactly what direction to rotate stacks in, when to set stacks aside, when to bring them back and put them on top of each other. So all the rotation still does occur, but the operator is watching a screen that visually shows them what to do, and you're going to see that in just a second here. While I still have you here with my screen, I'm going to show you guys what to do in Uber Conference to switch to the live video camera. On the bottom right corner of your screen, go to where it should say screen share right now, and change it to grid. In the grid, you should see one of the attendees have a video screen that says VRCut in big letters. You see the cutter. Click on the 3 dots and pin the video. And then nothing will happen when you do that. But once you do that, go back to grid and then change it to dynamic, and that will take your entire screen over. So if you have any problems or questions with that, let me know. But essentially, you're going to go to grid, click on the 3 dots of the VRCut live stream that you see, pin it, back to grid, dynamic. While you guys are doing that, Robert asked, why is this an advantage to an unattended cutter slitter trimmer? The answer is cost, Robert. The guillotine cutters are going to be probably about a third of the price of the slitter cutter creasers. But that being said, if you have interest or want to learn more about slitter cutter creasers, we have the IntelliCut software that comes included with the AeroCut Velocity and AeroCut Prime. The intention of that software was to essentially make that slitter cutter creaser process much easier, especially much easier than the Duplo workflow. So with the AeroCut cutter, we have the IntelliCut software. If you're interested in slitter cutter creasers, makes that process far more efficient than other slitter cutter creaser workflows through direct programming of the pieces. But if you have the budget only for a guillotine cutter, this is really the by far and away the most efficient workflow available. Okay, if you go to the bottom right corner of the screen where it says screen share now, click on that. You should be able to see grid, pin the video, and then change it to dynamic. With that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Karen Lytle, who will be doing the live screen presentation.
Okay, hopefully you've been able to switch over and see the VRCut Ready Triumph cutter full screen in a live video. Okay, well, great. Thanks so much, Zach. And now we're going to talk about the second portion of the software. As Zach mentioned, when you buy a VRCut Ready Triumph cutter from MBM, you receive a one-year license of the VRCut software. It actually comes with this, your cutter just has this kit that talks about how to install. And what we have done is we've created a kit that's perforated here in the middle, and it splits into 2 pieces. One that says pre-press module. That's the module you just saw, the VRCut Impose module that Zach demonstrated. And then a second module called the Triumph module. That's the one that you install on a user-provided, usually it's a tablet that just sits up on top of the system. Here we just have a laptop connected. It doesn't have to be super powerful, just has to have a USB port so that you can connect directly to the cutter. The cutter has what looks like a USB printer port on one end. Underneath, you attach a cable USB port on your VRCut Ready system. With the cutter. And we're going to demonstrate that second module. So this is the VRCut controller. Now I am demonstrating on a Triumph 5260. There are 4 models of this cutter. We're software people. So if you have questions on the cutters themselves, hydraulic versus, I forget the other word, all of those good things about these wonderful Triumph cutters, please look to your local MBM dealer or a regional sales manager. Also, the folks in North Carolina are a great assistance on providing any information you need and getting in touch regarding the hardware. We work very closely, obviously, with the MBM company for over 7 years now. So let me go ahead and talk a little bit about what we're going to see in this demonstration. We saw 2 different jobs that were presented today. One was a static job. It was sticking with our COVID theme, and all of this artwork is available up on our website for, I know a lot of users have been asking us for this. And this is a rack card that is talking about slowing the spread. So as we saw, this was a 9-up static card. So this will give me an opportunity to demonstrate the difference between cutting a static card and cutting something that's variable, and we want to keep the stack order. So we can click here on our options menu, and I know this might be a little hard to see. We'll zoom in a little bit, but I'm just going to talk through just a couple of important things. One is already discussed in detail, and that's the idea that you can link now to cloud applications. This became very important to our users this year. With everyone having to work from home, designers aren't in the actual facilities where they're cutting. The ability to be able to create any custom template, create all the artwork, do everything and send it via the cloud to the cut area room where they had minimal staffing to be able to print and cut, which was an essential service. That was just a huge relief to our users to not have to have the designers there testing and making sure everything was lined up, everything was perfectly done, all through having the designer working from home and obviously the minimal print staff on site. So that's what these folders are all about here. The other thing that I am going to talk about, there's a few things. One is that you can auto start on a barcode. You can get a little barcode reader. We've actually just installed it here on our system. There is a detailed presentation on additional hardware components that make things a little easier. We also have checked this box that says prompt on barcode. So that will allow us to just scan the barcode. It'll automatically bring up all the art and we actually filter the art. So we'll only bring up artwork that is laid out for that particular design, and you can then choose your artwork. We also have a way in which to show the cutting process. If you aren't concerned about the sort order, you would click this box, combine workbench stacks on cutting table. In other words, you can just keep combining as long as the stack isn't taller than your cut area. Then that's the most common way. In fact, that's the default and what we'll show first. So let me go ahead and click OK here and get started. I'm going to simply take the artwork that we just printed that you saw, just took a few moments to set up. The beauty of this, and we've almost gotten spoiled using the new VRCut Smart Layout Assistant that automatically programs everything and creates all of the cuts. I think there are 32 cuts on this document. I don't even think about it. I'm going to read this barcode, and let's see, I think we can maybe zoom in a little bit so you can see. It automatically brings up a template. See how these are the 3x3 cards? You could cut from that blank template, but of course in the cloud we stored the artwork that was just created. And so now you'll actually see the artwork. There's an audio. Step 1. There's an audio system that's telling us our directions. Often the operators use a Bluetooth headset because, you know, the print rooms tend to be noisy. They love this feature. They know what to do and where to cut without even having to look at the screen often. You can see all the cuts here. You can see the cut step here. And you can also see the directions. When the green light turns on, we're ready to cut. Those familiar with guillotine cutters, as you know, the two paddle system to keep the operator safe. But in addition, these Triumph VRCut Ready cutters have a very powerful safety feature, which are these light beams. The light beams prevent a third party. I wondered when I first started working with these, if both your hands are occupied, how would that happen? They say most accidents happen when somebody's looking in and saying, oh, wait, you're cutting wrong. And they reach their hand in. If you reach your hand in, it automatically turns the red lights on and stops the cutter from working. So that's a great safety feature as well. So I'm going to do my first cut by holding my paddles, and hopefully you'll get an idea. And now,
scraps to trash. Rotate 90 clockwise.
I paused speaking so you could hear that it gives you the directions.
Ready to cut step 2.
Visually gives you the directions. And now we go to step 2. We rotate our artwork. We can see that we're putting that in correctly. And it has another safety feature, which is to push forward if the blade is going back. Although it's perfectly safe, operators don't like to reach into the cutter, especially if you have a high stack, your hand can get close to that blade. So we push forward automatically so the operator can easily turn the stack on the working platform instead of inside of the cutter. Remember that there's no programming involved in the cutter. We literally pulled everything down from the VRC file, the VRCut Ready file. And you don't even have to think about it. We know it's going to cut perfectly.
Ready to cut step 4. Move stack to workbench.
And when you have a stack,
ready to cut step 5.
That's going to require further cutting. Then you can see it has a little workbench area here. And so we go ahead and move that to another area.
Scraps to trash. Ready to cut step 6. Move stack to workbench. Ready to cut step 7. Scraps to trash. Move stacks from workbench.
So now
rotate
as you
90
can see,
clockwise.
It's giving us one stack. Again, because we don't care about the stack
Ready
order,
to cut step 8.
we set that option. Now we stack up all of our stacks. It brings more efficiency to the cutting, and because we don't need to keep the order like we do in the next one we're going to cut, that's easy to do.
Scraps to trash. Ready to cut step 9. Finished cards to pallet. Ready to cut step 10. Scraps to trash. Finished cards to pallet. Job completed.
And there you go. And if we zoom in here on the screen, you can see everybody gets a trophy. So we get a little job complete and a little trophy that we finished our job. If anybody's worked with guillotine cutters, you know how much measuring is involved. In fact, a lot of the jobs end up stacking up, waiting for a skilled operator because they don't want to make a mistake, as Zach had pointed out earlier. And so this is just really revolutionary, why we've won several industry awards for this very unique interface that ties together, the only software that ties together imposition directly into finishing. The second job I'm going to show here in the last couple of minutes is that variable job. And as we discussed, let me go ahead and close this job. And I'm going to go ahead and look at those options again. This time I'm going to say that I don't want to combine the stacks. In other words, I want you to leave the steps separate so I can have them in order. As we had discussed, we created just a stack of 5. Obviously, more realistically, you'd be doing stacks of 250 or 500, depending on the depth of your cutter. And I wanted to point out, because this is a standard template, there's over 200 standard templates, we give you another special guide on the preset templates. I'm going to zoom in here, and you'll see these little numbers here. In fact, here's number 1. And this is an additional guide to assure that the document is rotated correctly. And I am starting, let's see, I thought I had the right stack. Let me go ahead and, I think that's just a stack of 3. Let me grab the correct stack here. Okay, so here we go. This is the right stack. This is a stack of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as we mentioned, you put this stack onto here, this stack onto here, etc. So let me just quickly go ahead. I think maybe what we can do is, as I cut through this job, if you have any questions, let me go ahead and get started here. As you can see, it brings up 344. This is a 5x7 postcard. We have a lot of art here that is 344. I can see this is the one that we created this morning, in that the timestamp says 9/21. We're here in California.
Job to square stack.
And now I can see my artwork as well. I'm on step 1.
Ready to cut step 1.
And I don't think we can see it here because it's inside the cutter, but where I'm pointing, the light beam is pointing right to step 1.
Scraps to trash. Rotate 90 clockwise.
And now it pushed forward, as I mentioned, then pushed back so that we don't have to reach into the cutter.
Ready to cut step 2.
To pick up our stack.
Scraps to trash.
And we have worked with
Rotate 90
experts at
clockwise.
MBM have been
Ready
doing
to
two
cut
cutters
step 3.
for 80 so years, and we in the most optimal way to do rotation and cutting, the least number of cuts and the most accuracy. And so you don't have to touch
Ready to cut step 4.
You'll notice there's lots of cuts where I don't even have to touch the stacks at all.
Workbench. Ready to cut step 5. Scraps to trash.
Now here's
Move
where you'll
stacks
see
from
the difference.
workbench.
You see how we have,
Rotate 90
I don't know if
clockwise.
we want to zoom in on that real quick, but here's where you can see that they then separate the
Ready to cut
stacks.
step 6.
So we would have the stack that has 1 to the left and the one that has 11 to the right, and then put those into the cutter separately. That's what's going to keep our stack order.
Scraps to trash. Ready to cut step 7. Finished cards to pallet. Ready to cut step 8. Scraps to trash.
And now we have our,
Finished cards to pallet.
4 stacks.
Job completed.
Stack 1 on top of stack 2, stack 3, stack 4, and now we have 1 through 20 all in order. someone was asking about slitter cutter creasers, and we actually initially worked with the slitter cutter creasers. That was more our market. We come from a variable data digital print world, and MBM had come to us and asked us about creating templates with our imposition and variable tool for their arrow cut. One of the challenges that folks have on the slitter cutter creasers is doing the ordering, linear ordering, and we do linear ordering. Also, as an interesting note, the templates, the 200 and some default templates will actually, that barcode will also read on your arrow cut, so you can interchange them. Customers love this. Sometimes they have a job, they've already printed, their guillotine's cut up, they can just, is tied up, they can just simply throw that into their arrow cut and cut that same template without any modification. So just a lot of synergy there. We're at the end of our session time. If you want to turn on your mics, if we can take any questions. I know I see that the moderators have been answering questions all along. We really appreciate your time. Sorry, we went a few moments over. I do want to encourage you, for those, I saw a lot of interest in the arrow cut. We have a series of presentations, and I know we had uniquely set this presentation up for a lot of the folks from Konica Minolta. Thanks for joining us. Happy to set up a presentation just like this for the arrow cut. If you're interested in that, please contact Phil Foss, and he'll work with you, and we're happy to do another presentation for you live of the arrow cut process.